What is going on, guys? Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope you're having a wonderful start to the morning wherever you are in this beautiful wide world. Hello, and I hope the week is traveling super duper well. Now, guys, we're going to do something a little bit different today, and I'm going to run a little mini workshop. So I got up this morning and I thought, you know what? I think that this would be a really, really good idea to do in the lead up to the holiday period. So we're going to do something a little bit different, and hopefully it's helpful for you. So if you're coming into this one live, guys, do the thing. Let us know that you're actually here. I'm going to be kicking this off in around 2 minutes. And yeah, it'd be nice to know who's actually coming in and playing as the Christmas season warms up, right? I hope you guys in Aussie are enjoying the sun. It's peeing down raining here and terrible in Canada as it gets to this time of year. Cannot wait to get my ass out of here. Hey Pascal, what's going on, mate? Good morning, Tez. I hope you are up your well, brother. Let's go live workshop. Sending it out to our clients and letting them know we are ready to rock and roll. I hope you're good. Listen, yeah, while you're getting your session done. Yeah, beautiful, mate. It's a very good idea. Very good idea, Pascal. So guys, if you're thinking to yourself, oh, this is a bit late notice. I didn't even know this was on. I didn't know it was on either. I just woke up this morning and decided, you know what? I'm feeling inspired, especially with the starting of this challenge that we're doing inside a Better Body Academy. Like, it's sick. You girls and guys are really ripping into this. I went through all of the guys' posts this morning, and there were tons of guys that knocked up their 10,000 steps. A few boys that have come out of the woodwork, which is always the plan, and a few other girls. I haven't gone through the girls yet, but I could see tons of posts, which was so freaking good. Guys, we're going to get this started in 1 minute. And so if you're coming into this one live, guys, let us know that you're here. And if you watch this one on replay, you can hashtag replay in the comments. That helps it bump back up into the feed. Let everyone know that they've got some value in here, which would be awesome. Hello, Hells. What's going on? And good morning, Dino. You little legend. Who else we got in here? Kate Trickett. What's going on, Kate? Beads in the house. Hey, good morning, Michelle. What's going on, mate? Way too hot. Yeah. Okay. Well, look, you're speaking to a guy that's currently in 2 degrees and very grey. It's hard for me to sympathize. But I'll take your play for it. I'll take your play for it. All right, guys. So like I said, if you are coming into this one live and you end up watching it on replay, just let us know that you've been here. I'm going to try to make sure that enough people watch this so that you've got some good kind of guidance going into the Christmas period. Just turning off sound on a couple of these bits. Okay. It's actually really hard to do these streams, guys, across multiple groups at the one time because, yeah, we're just like kind of all over the spot with different streams. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to keep an eye on the comments section on my phone. So if you guys have any questions that you ask along the way, I can actually see them. But if not, I can try to come back to them at the end. Kobe says, Jace, I was late to the challenge, but walking now. Can I catch up to the challenge? Yeah, I was thinking that this morning. I think, you know what, guys, it's on me. I'll take responsibility that I probably didn't give enough of a notice that it was a 10,000 steps challenge on the first day. So I'll give one exception. You got to make your 10,000 steps up today, right? So, Kobe, does that sound fair? And then you'll be in the running for the prize as well. All right, guys, I reckon we are ready to rock and roll. Good afternoon, Joe. I hope you're well, bud. All right, we're ready to go, guys. So I'm going to switch over now to screen sharing rather. So get into Zoom, and we're going to do a little bit of a Canva slide presentation. So, guys, if you have any questions, I will try to keep pace with the comments over here. I love you. Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. I'll try to keep pace with the comments over here. But if I don't, I'll try to come back to them at the end. Okay. I'm not going to get bogged down in this because sometimes presentations of this nature can just get boring and irrelevant. I just want to keep this sharp and let's just get stuck into it. So I call this presentation the Festivity Navigator. So give me a heads up. Yes, yes, yes. If you can see the screen, as long as you can see the screen, we are ready to rock and roll. And then we're just going to go boom, 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 and get stuck into it. G'day, Lynn. What's going on, girlfriend? I hope you're good. Let us know if you can see the screen, guys. We're sharing okay. And then we're going to rock and roll straight into this. The Festivity Navigator. Good morning, Deb. I hope you're good as well, buddy. All right, Michelle says yes, so we're good to go. So let's go, guys. What we're going to do in this little mini workshop is we're going to have a plan for the holidays. Number one, so how to go and approach this. And number two, we're going to create some momentum for 2026. Because for me, this is the biggest problem. It's creating momentum going into the new year. This is most people in January, right? They feel like this. They feel shit. They've had a big bendering Christmas, and then they get to January and they're like, oh my God, oh, I've got to pick up the pieces again, right? Maybe a little bit too much booze drunk, maybe a little bit too much good food eaten, and they get to January and they're completely out of momentum. And then what happens is they try to do a New Year's resolution, only their car has come to this dead stop. And so they're trying to push the car into momentum again. What you need to do in the middle of December, and I do this for myself personally, as a busy parent, what you got to do is you got to recommit to yourself. You've got to recommit to your journey. This was never about doing a program. Never. This was about building a lifestyle, and you've got to build a lifestyle. If you build a lifestyle over the next 2 to 3 years, it will last forever. It will be so embodied in you. But the right time to recommit to this journey is not in January 15th when you've got out of momentum. It is right now as you're coming into the holiday season. There's a problem with this, though, guys, and that is that there's a bit of a conundrum when it comes to Christmas, right? We've kind of got this thing going on in our mind, which is, but I'm meant to be watching my weight, but I'm surrounded by family and food. Maybe you're the one that actually prepares the food for your family, all of the good food. So you kind of think to yourself, well, I've got this option. Option one is I'm just going to stay strict and don't enjoy Christmas. Yeah. And maybe this is what a lot of you would do if you don't see this presentation. I'm just going to stay strict and don't enjoy Christmas. And option two is I'm going to indulge and get fat and then feel guilty in January. But the problem is that both of those options lead to a shitty end to this year and a shitty start to next year because you feel guilty and deprived, and that's just not a way to live. The truth is, guys, if you keep operating in this kind of black and white mindset, that's the problem. The black and white mindset. It's called a binary game. You don't need to choose between this and that. It's all gray. And this area in Christmas should just be all gray. If we're thinking about a long-term lifestyle, you're not going to commit to never eating chocolate again. So have some chocolate. It's not a problem. There's some grayness, but you can't overcook it, right? You can indulge and stay on track, and it's somewhere in between that. Does this make sense, guys? Just let us know in the comments if this makes sense. And I'm going to give you 5 simple ideas. Maybe these are around mindset. The first one is how to think about this Christmas period. It is not lazy, it is recharging. If you're like me, you've been pedal to the metal for the best part of this year. One of the things that I struggle with is personally taking a break. I've just organized our call structure, our call schedule over the Christmas period, which I'll send out to you guys very soon. But it's like, I just want to keep doing calls. I just want to keep showing up. But I've got to realize that the worst thing that can possibly happen for me in this academy is if our coaches burn out, right? It is not lazy having a couple of weeks to just recharge. Frame it the right way. Speak to yourself the right way. Number 2, we don't care about speed during December. We care about momentum. The reason that there's a big cruise liner in the harbor is this. If you let your cruise liner come to a stop, trying to turn that around in January is extremely hard. It's extremely hard. You've got out of momentum. But once the cruise liner is in motion, like it is for Nicole and Tam and Kobe and Terry and Pascal, because the cruise liner is in momentum, It just needs to stay in momentum. We don't care about the speed. Number three, I want to propose to you guys that health must incorporate your family and friends, not isolate them. Health is far more bigger than just how much you weigh on the scales. In fact, some of the inverted commas healthiest people that I know, inverted commas, Instagram health, are the unhealthiest people I know mentally, self-image wise. So embracing this period as a time with friends and family and doing the things that you want to do, that is health, in my opinion. Number four, I think this is a really, really good time to pause and reflect and think about what you've learned for this year. Like, what have you taken out of this year? If I think about someone like Deb Hoberg, you have broken all fucking levels of like crazy, crazy new levels in your life. Old mindsets that have been broken, old routines that have been broken, Deb. Like, be grateful and appreciate that before you go into the next year. If we think about someone like Pascal, you've dropped 20 kilos. You look like you've reversed aged about 20 years. You're feeling great. You're looking great. Pause. Be proud of that achievement. What is the point in achieving this stuff and then like just forgetting about it and going on to the next thing? And then finally, if you view this period of time as the rest or the calm before the storm, guess what? You're going to attack 2026. I can tell you that I am beyond pumped about next year, beyond pumped. But in order to fuel that pump, right, both for myself and our academy and for you guys, I need to actually be okay with, you know, reducing the speed for a week or two and just being present with my family. I think that's really, really, really important. If we're so desperate that we never take a break, like we're just going to burn ourselves out. We're busy, busy parents. Our mindset has to be different. If you step on the scales and you're 2 kilos heavier on the 2nd of July, like don't throw your toys out of the cot. It's fine. You know how to bring it back in. You've got a system. Okay, let's talk about a strategy for this Christmas period. By the way, if you're feeling like this is a little bit drinking from a fire hose, this is intentionally. You can come back and watch this. I don't want this to take 2 hours. Let's give you a plan. Let's talk about a plan. The plan should always come through the lens of the trifecta. The reason we created this framework, guys, is that when things get ultra busy like they do at Christmas, and you're surrounded by family, and I'm very aware that for some people, Christmas is a really painful time, right? You've got to have a framework to look at things through. And this is the framework, whether you are one day into your journey or 1 year or 2 years or 3 years into your journey. If I'm going to try to get myself in shape, I need to look through the frame of the trifecta. The question that you should probably start with is this the right time to be doing a cut or being in a calorie deficit? I do not think this is a great idea, and I'll tell you the reason why. If you go and you try to drop your calories dramatically, what tends to happen when you do that is that your metabolism will just slow down a little bit, and then what will happen is you'll come to Christmas and then probably have a bunch of food, and then you're going to see that weight come onto the scales, right? Not the end of the world, but I don't think that you should be cutting, just to confirm, I don't think you should be doing hard cuts in your calories this far out from Christmas, like 2 or 3 weeks out from Christmas. It doesn't make any sense. You're priming yourself. Instead, actually, what you should do, and I get that this will be a little bit confusing perhaps for some of our newer clients. That's okay. You don't need to understand it to a depth. All I'm saying in this slide here is that it's probably a good idea, actually, that as we approach Christmas, we go into a little bit of what's called a reverse diet. All this simply means is that we actually use the time of the year to just bump our calories a touch. Okay? Bump them up a touch. And so what that will do is means that we're not in this deprivation mode. There's a few benefits to this. When we increase our calories slowly, we're not expecting, just to confirm, guys, we're not expecting to lose weight on the scales. We're not expecting that. Not when we start to increase our calories. But we are expecting that our workouts are going to become better. The difference between working out with calories in your system and not is like tenfold. It's so good. Your workouts are going to become better because you bumped your calories a little bit. Your metabolism will start to push a little bit higher. This is a good thing. You're going to have the ability to build some muscle over this Christmas period. We're going to focus on big days, like really get involved in our lifting. We're going to put a focus on our strength gains. And overall, this is going to be a little bit more achievable as a focus than shrinking away. If you enter this Christmas period, let me just like make this a bit clear. If you enter this Christmas period, guys, and your whole mindset is like, I'm going to try to not eat too much, like I'm just going to really like stick strict and hardcore to everything, I think you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. I think we've got to have this little bit of gray room in here and be adults and understand that it's okay. We're not going to eat like an asshole, but we are going to allow ourselves a little bit of wiggle room so that we feel recharged when we exit New Year's, and then we can just go at 2026 as hard as possible. Just let me know if this is making sense so far, guys. Just give me a little bit of a heads up if this is making sense so far. I'll just take a pause on that before we get into just a little bit more strategy. So if you are in that situation where your calories or you're feeling a little bit tired, your calories are a little bit low at the moment, and you've been thinking to yourself, oh man, I feel like I'm on a little bit of a knife's edge here with the dieting phase, what you could do, just to be very clear, is just slowly let your calories drift up week by week, very slowly. Okay, cool. Definitely makes sense. All good. Okay, good stuff. Well, let's keep going on this, guys. We actually did this last year with Dennis, one of our clients, and I want to show you actually the power of reverse dieting. So here is what was actually happening. We start to increase his calories. See on the left-hand side here, you've got his baseline level of calories. What we actually started to do was increase his calories in the lead up to Christmas, right? And actually look what happened over this time on the right-hand side to his weight over that period of time. Literally, all that happened was he gained 3 kilos, but look at his waist circumference. It stayed the same. Now, what does that tell you? That tells you that actually this weight that he's put on, his waist has stayed the same. It's very likely 2 to 3 kilos of lean body mass, meaning muscle and water. He's getting stronger. His calories are going up, right? But he's not gaining fat around the belly. This is like a beautiful outcome to be having. Now, for the ladies particularly, if you go, and this is the challenge with reverse dieting, it just feels very, very, very foreign to a lot of people, right? Because we're so used to shrinking our calories. But if you go and just add in 300 calories this week, you're going to see a bit of a bump on the scales because you're storing water because of the increase in carbohydrates, right? So what we do is we do it very slowly. I'm talking like 50 to 100 calories a week. That's it, right? And that's really not that much. But we can keep doing that right through January and February using this period of time to get strong. Our focus is to get strong. And then what we can do, we've enjoyed the Australian summer. What we can then do is pull back on our calories at the end of February and do a little mini cut. But only now you'll be cutting from a higher number of calories because you've gone through this reverse diet. So rather than cutting from, say, 1600 calories now and going down to what, 1200, instead you might be cutting from 2400 calories. Let me just have a look at what Deb said. So Deb said, last year, this thought terrified me. But 13 months on, I'm so freaking excited for my first Christmas where I have control. Finally, true freedom. This is exactly right. So we go through this period, right? And I just think personally, maybe it's a little bit different if you're in Northern Hemisphere, it's a bit colder, but I really do think that if we can spend particularly the Aussies spend the next 2 months just being less caring about the scales. And I know that's a hard thing to do, and focus on developing your strength and keep your steps up. Have a really active summer, right? Not only is you're going to keep the weight at bay, you're just going to have a fucking good time because you're out there doing things that you don't normally do instead of sitting there on the scales worrying about things going down. Now, I've got a question here from Bonnie. So if I'm at 1600 calories per day, how much of an increase in calories is a good amount to reverse diet? Literally 50 to 100 calories per week or per 2 weeks. We do it slow, Bonds. Okay. We do it slow only so that we don't, almost like scare the pants off you when you see a little bump in your weight. I've got to remind you guys, you're not expecting to lose weight when you start to reverse diet. What you're trying to do, what's the point? You're trying to get your body to say, hey, body, use these calories to increase my metabolism and help me get stronger. Does that make sense, team? Okay. Does that make sense? That's why we're trying to do it. So we're not expecting to all of a sudden like continue in our weight loss, right? That you can, let's just make a point. You can continue in a deficit at this period of time, but if being around all of the family is gonna lead to you going, oh, I can't keep this deficit up and I'm just gonna stuff my face, you're really, really gonna struggle and probably put on a bunch of weight, which we'll talk about in a minute. Okay, so let's keep going. Reversing calories does not mean eating like an ass. Okay, this is not, we have never been advocates of cheat days, cheat weeks, cheat months. That's crap. There are better ways to do this. Bonnie says, yep, thank you. It's such a small amount. Exactly. But where do you stop? How far do you go with the increase? That's the great thing, Tam. You can keep going, right? I would personally recommend, like what I'm personally doing is I'm going to go out to like probably February, probably the retreat, like just before the retreat, and then do like maybe a 6 week cut prior to the retreat. I'm just focused. You might notice like I'm getting a little bit bigger, right? It's because I'm increasing my calories and I'm lifting hard and heavy and focusing on strength. I'm going through a strength phase. It's so good. It's so good. And pretty much all of our coaches are as well, by the way. Okay, let's just keep going. So, approach to nutrition. So, you've kind of got one or two options, right? Depending on where you specifically are. So, let me try to get practical here, team. You got basically one of two options. You could go option one, which is just a slow reverse diet out over the next, say, 2 to 3 months. And then end of January, end of February, you might be feeling a bit fluffy. That's okay. We can do a cut. Okay. We can do that. So that's one option, right? So we can treat this as a phase where, you know what? I'm just so not attached to the scales anymore, right? I'm not that girl or guy. I'm just going to slowly reverse diet out and give myself a bit of a diet break. And then I'm going to come back in at the end of January, end of February, and crush another deficit. Okay. That's option one. Option two is that you just have what's called a diet break week. Okay. A diet break week. The way that I would play that is that, and this might be suitable for a lot of people. Okay. It might be, and good morning, Marty and James, by the way. It might be that you just, for the next 2 weeks, right, you just hold your deficit. So if you've been eating at around 2000 calories as a bloke, you could just keep holding the 2000 calories, no problems at all. You could either dip it to 1800 calories, right, as an example. As a lady, you might be holding the 16 to 1700 calorie range. And then you might just decide on week kind of four, but would be 22nd of December, like the week of 22nd of December, or you might start it on the 24th of December, right? I'm going to allow myself a 400 to 500 calorie bump, right? This is not a cheat week, right? The calories count as much at December as they do in January. They don't disappear, right? What you're doing is just giving yourself a little bit of a bump, right? Of say 400 to 500 calories for the 10 days. Okay. What you then do is you pair that with an increase in your step count as well. Does that make sense? Right? I'm just trying to keep this as basic as I possibly can. So, your approach for this season should be either option one, just gradually, slowly do a reverse diet out over the next 2 months, right? And then we can do another cut as soon as we finish that. And how far do you go, Tam? Again, you can continue that really as long as you want. What's going to happen is as soon as you start realizing like how strong you're getting, this is what Carly did, right? She was like, fuck, I'm just loving how strong I'm getting. This is so good. Right? I want to keep going. And she was comfortable with just getting a little bit of fluffiness and didn't matter because she knows that she can pull her calories back at any point and go into a cut, right? So she's using this time of year to build strength. The second option is that you just keep everything as normal. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater and just give yourself 400 to 500 calories extra for the week between, say, Christmas and New Year. And then as soon as the festivities are over, you just rein it back in. All you're doing is saying, I'm going to have a contained enjoyment of my food without feeling guilty. I'm not going to double my calories. If you double your calories and you just think to yourself, like, oh, just fucking whatever, right? You're just going to end up exiting the period feeling more tired and more frustrated than when you started. Okay. So let's talk about some mindsets. Protein first mentality. Super, super important. Thing about Christmas food is that it doesn't have to be bad food. If you are filling up, the first thing you want to do, and I talked about this in a podcast the other day, the first thing you want to do is fill up on your protein, right? The protein is what's going to fill you up. If you fill up on the carbs first, right? And I'm not saying carbs are bad, I'm saying they're not as filling. If you fill up on the carbs first and then you go back to the protein after that, you're going to not feel the same level of satiation. You're just going to feel like, oh, now I'm heavy, right? Protein first. Now, a couple of rules. How do you have your cake and eat it too? Right? How do you have your cake and eat it too? Right? How do you be flexible over the Christmas period? Here's how you think. You think swap over subtract. So many people, they think, I can't do that, 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 I can't do that. And then they sterilize Christmas and it becomes boring, right? Swap over subtract. As an example, if I see any of you drinking 150 calorie beers over Christmas, I'm coming to find you because I'll be in Australia. Stop drinking 150 calorie beers when you can drink 80 calorie beers. Like, why would you drink something that contains double the calories when there's something that tastes equally as good but half the calories? A great example of this is better beer, right? Now, you might not want to go zero alcohol. Personally, I'm going to have mostly zero alcohol. But if you want to enjoy a beer with your family, enjoy a beer. Just understand that there's ways that you can minimize the effect of that. You could, for example, go to a low carb beer, go from Corona to better beer or Burley Big Heads or something like that. It's still going to be full alcohol, right? But it's going to be a lower carb portion. Or you could then go to something like a lower alcohol beer. The easy way to do that, there's two ways that calories come into alcohol. They come into alcohol through carbs and through alcohol, the pure alcohol. So you two ways to reduce the calories, right? Reduce the carbs or reduce the alcohol percentage. Okay. Second mindset is either, not both. What does that mean? That means have either the cake or the chocolate, not both. Have either the beer or the wine, not both. Make sense? Have either the handful of Smarties or the handful of chocolate, not both. Does this make sense, guys? Please give me a heads up and say yes if it makes sense. Okay, back ending your calories. We call this fasting or calorie banking. Calorie banking is very, very, very smart over this period To our newer members, let me explain very simply what calorie banking is. You have two options. You can eat all your calories over a 20-hour period, or you can eat them over a 2-hour period. It doesn't matter. But what calorie banking will do is give you the enjoyment without the overabundance of calories. So, as an example, let's pretend it's Christmas Day. How do you set yourself up for an awesome Christmas day? Okay, in my family, our biggest area, our biggest time out of breakfast, lunch, and dinner is lunch. Okay, it's a late lunch and it's big. So, what I would personally recommend is A, you either fast for breakfast or you just have a protein shake, right? Or you have some eggs on toast, 3 eggs or some scrambled egg whites on toast, and a coffee, and you're good. Keep it light and lovely. Then have a massive lunch and allow yourself 1,500 calories for lunch. Now, let's assume that you had 300 calories for breakfast, 1,500 calories for lunch. Give yourself like literally a small sandwich at nighttime, right? It doesn't matter when you eat the calories. If the total calories over the course of days and weeks are still averaged out to be minimal, to be at maintenance, you're going to be fine and you're not going to put on the weight. Does this make sense? We call this calorie banking. Now, in the converse, let's say that your nighttime of New Year's Eve, right? New Year's Eve's a great example. Let's say that you're planning on having 2 bottles of wine. Cool, 1,500 calories, right? So what you want to do is in the morning, you probably want to do some fasting. In the lunchtime, you probably want to have a good high protein lunch, including 2 scoops of protein powder. So you're getting your protein in first, right? And then what you have at New Year's Eve with your wine, don't make it like, remember, either, not both. Don't make it like super fatty, deep fried Chinese food, as an example. Number 4 is indulgent meals, not indulgent days. This kind of plays onto the idea of calorie banking. Just think of it one meal, think of it indulgent meals, not days. Okay? It doesn't go the whole day, it goes the whole meal. And then finally is the idea of a mindset of big day, small day, big day, small day, big day, small day, right? What that means is that if you have a surging calorie day, have a smaller calorie day the day after it. And then if you know that it's going to be surging the next day, you can do this, guys, right? You can do this if you plan it. If everything's reactive, it's really, really hard to do. Tina says some great advice. Yeah, exactly. Now, Nicole, I'm going back to your question. Is it just okay to say for the days of Christmas, like Christmas Eve and Christmas, to have a little bit more calories and just eat as if I normally do every other day? Absolutely, Nicole. That's perfect, right? Like this is the thing. People think that this period of time is like it doesn't count. Like what? Of course it counts. It counts exactly the same now as it does in January when you're flogging yourself and everyone's in the gym doing the new year, new me thing, and they're just like torching themselves. But if they just was a bit more kind of emotionally mature around the holiday period of time, have your cake and eat it too, right? Do these things that I've talked about here and go and walk lots. We're going to talk about that in a second. Let's keep going. Guys, the fundamentals of healthy eating, to your point, Nicole, the fundamental of healthy eating still apply. Whole foods first, right? High protein, high fiber, lower calorie. Don't drink your calories in as much as that's possible, right? Or minimize the liquid calories. And I'm saying that for Vicky Milroy because I know that she'll shoot me as well. And Marty says, for this dumbass, that just makes simple, awesome sense. And Vicky says, am I the only one that's not worried about Christmas? My confidence is good. I can do this. Of course you can do it. Like, it's because we view it as something different. It's not any different. Christmas is not, you don't need to make it a 3-week celebration. It's 3 weeks with your family to relax and recalibrate. But from your nutrition, the principles don't go out of, like, they don't just fly out the window. Whole foods first. Don't drink your calories. Slow down your eating and just be intentional. Okay? All right, let's keep going. Let's talk about an approach to steps. You know what, guys? I got to tell you that, like, it doesn't matter how much I say this, even I don't realize it. When we did the steps challenge, you guys remember when we did the steps in, I think it was September? Is that when we did it? And we set the goal to do 30 days of 10K plus 400,000 for the month, right? That was a really hard challenge. I continued on my steps since that point in time, and now I'm on a streak of like 70 days. And holy shit, the impact that it has, even with the substantial increase in my calories of just committing to 10,000 steps a day, which usually for me ends up at 11 or 12. I just get up in the morning and literally, I'm not saying you have to do this, but I get up in the morning now at 4 o'clock and I just walk around the house commenting on all your Facebook posts and looking at that. So I'm multitasking at the same time because with cardio, like walking, it's okay to multitask. It's not when you're in the gym, right? But this is just that extra 3 to 5 to 600 calories per day is just getting completely burned off. So when it comes to Christmas, rather than thinking exercise, 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 I've got to earn my food, I've got to feel guilty, have an active Christmas. Why do we, you, let me ask you a question. Is your identity changing, Marty? Is your identity changing? Vicky? Michelle? Exactly. Is your identity changing? If your identity is changing, you have the identity of a healthy person. I'm a healthy person now. It's like I walk, right? I don't just sit down for 8 hours at Christmas. I'm going to get up and go for a walk, right? More sitting usually leads to more eating. So if you sit less, you eat less in the opposite. Number two is think of it this way: walk, eat, walk, eat, walk, eat, walk, eat. What does that mean? Go for a walk before breakfast, right? Do your gym session or do whatever you normally do, right? Then eat, then go for a walk, and then do whatever you got to do, and then eat, and then go for a walk. I'm not talking like an hour-long walk. I'm talking a 15-minute walk. This improves your digestion out of sight, and it helps to get that sugar from broken down into the blood and being used by the muscles. We make it a non-negotiable. We make it so that in December, we do our minimum step count, be it 10,000 steps or whatever your minimum non-negotiable is. Yeah, I'm not punishing myself. I get to walk. That's what I get to do. I get to get up early and go for a walk. Christmas Day, I'm getting up early, going for a walk, and coming back and celebrating with the family, having done my walk. Like, this is how healthy people think. And getting the family involved, if you have the ability to do that, is amazing. Make a December commitment. What is the step count that you are going to get for December? Set yourself a little micro challenge. We've got a challenge inside the group. Set yourself a micro challenge. What are you going to get for December? And let's talk about an approach to our workouts. Okay. This is the final area. Good morning, Steve. By the way, guys, if you're joining late, it's completely fine. I didn't give you any notice because I woke up this morning and felt inspired to do this. So you can rewatch this, go back to the start. Okay. Your approach to training. How should you think about this? One of two options again. You could use the increase in calories that you may give your body to accelerate your strength gains. I've got a feeling that this might be you, Vicky, and this might be you, Pascal, and this might be you, Deb, right? This might be you, Marty, right? I'm going to bump my calories a little bit because at the end of the day, I'm going to exit December. And if I've put on a kilo, I'm not really that worried. I've put on 2 kilos, I'm not really that worried. But if I'm strong, I'm feeling strong and I'm feeling for the first time, I feel strong. Perfect. You can use this period to accelerate your strength gains. However, if you've been flogging yourself all year and you feel like you're tipping it a little bit, you might need a little bit of a minimalist approach. So what does that actually mean? Well, if you want to accelerate your gains, right, you do a 3 to 4 day split and you go heavy, right? You go heavy. Hey, Basso, you go heavy. You dial back on your cardio, right? Because you don't have time to do everything. and you pair it with a reverse diet, making sure you hit your protein targets every day, you don't worry about the scale weight because it's probably going to go up a little bit because of the bump in calories, and you just lift early and relax later. That's my strategy, right? I get to the gym, I put the work in, I do my 10,000 steps, and then I relax in the afternoon. That's going to be my strategy. That's my strategy every year, right? I use the increase in the calories to accelerate my strength and power and gains and build some muscle. And then at the middle of February, that's when I'll pull back and do a little bit of a cut. That's what I would do if you want to go with option one and accelerate your strength gains and use this plan to get powerful. Second option is a minimalist approach. This is where you feel like, you know what, like I know myself. I don't want to push too hard. I want to take this 2 to 3 weeks to kind of recalibrate. Guess what? 1 to 2 days a week of like 30 minutes, short sessions, 15 minutes, that's enough to prevent muscle loss. You can have a very minimalist approach. You might be going on holidays, right? Take some resistance bands with you and we'll build you a resistance bands program. As long as you're hitting your daily protein target, you could literally use from Christmas Day to New Year's Day as your deload period. So as opposed to, oh, I didn't get to the gym today. No, I choose to take this week to focus on my steps. Okay. Keep my nutrition pretty solid. And I'm going to relax up, give my joints a little bit of time to heal and feel a little bit better. And then I'm going to go at it on 2nd of January, 3rd of January, 4th of January, whatever it is for you. Does this make sense, team? So one of two approaches, you go hard and heavy, use this period to accelerate your strength gains, or you take a more minimalist approach and be kind to yourself and be okay with just deloading after a period of time. So what do you do? Well, it depends on how hard you've been training in the lead up to this. This is all about mindset, guys. As we bring this to a close, this is all about mindset. Christmas is a mindset. It doesn't need to be a period of time where you gain lots of weight unless you make choices that are not in alignment with what you actually want to achieve. So let's talk about redefining success. Success in previous years out of Christmas might have meant to you, oh, you would have said things to yourself like, oh, I didn't turn into a fat shit, or I, I didn't have any chocolate. Like that's successful, yes. Is that really success? Is it not about spending time with the people that you love, or your partner, or your family, or your daughter, or your son, or here are some really good questions that I want you to think about now. Now, to ask yourself in advance of time, if you asked yourself these questions on the 5th or 10th of January, if you asked yourself these questions, what would be the answer to them? How would you feel? By the way, how good does Xanth look? So, if you asked yourself on the 5th or the 10th of January, do I feel recharged? And the answer was yes, as a consequence of the fact that I took 5 to 10 days to recalibrate. And yes, would that be a good thing? Absolutely. You're going to ask yourself, did I get to spend time with my family? I am going to fight myself, and I want you guys to please hold me accountable to not do podcasts every single week, every single day. I'm going to fight myself to spend as much time as I can with my dad when I'm home on the Central Coast between the 1st and the 10th of January. Like I just cannot wait to just spend some time. Success for me won't be, hey, I avoided all beer. Success will be for me, did I get to spend the time that I wanted connecting with my dad? That's fucking success. Don't define success by what you weigh on the scales as the only thing. Does this make sense? Have you gotten stronger over this period? Did you only put on 2 kilos, which is mostly probably water weight, but only put on 2 kilos? Do you feel proud of how you navigated the year? And most importantly, are you excited going into 2026? Do you feel pumped? Do you feel in momentum? Do you feel like the cruise liner that's just cruising along, not too quick, but setting themselves up? They're good. Or do you feel like the cruise liner that's stuck in Sydney Harbour going, fucking hell, I got to turn around and try to work out how to get back into momentum? Don't get out of momentum. Few things that we should think about, some non-negotiables. First coaching call. Guys, I'm going to give you the times. We will be back to coaching calls. I'm just going to give you to them on a front. We're going to have 2 weeks off coaching calls. Okay, that's it. We did 3 weeks last year. We're going to do 2 weeks this year. We'll be back to coaching calls on the 5th of June. Sorry, the 5th of January, that week. Okay, so I need you to commit to getting on a coaching call on the 5th of January, that week, as normal. Okay, I need you to return to check ins, make a commitment, right? Don't worry about checking in Christmas week. That's fine. You're not expecting to progress. That's cool. When are you going to get back to check ins? If you take time off the gym, if you take time off tracking, when are you going to get back to it? Just set some negotiables. If you can commit to that now, you've got a plan on the other side of the festive season. This makes sense, legends? We're bringing this to a close. If you have the ability to get to the client event, come, right? I'll just recap. Saturday, 10th of January, if you're somewhere close to Sydney, Newcastle on the east coast of Australia, or if you're like some people that might fly in, we're doing a client event. We're going to go for a lift in the gym. We're going to go for a stomp and we're going to go for an eat. At last check, there are about 30 people booked in. We can take 40 at the restaurant. If you have the ability to come, there are about 40 people that are, sorry, 30 people that are paid up and ready to go. I think the space is for about 10 more. If you have the ability to come, I think you should come. If you don't want to do the lunch, that's okay. Come for a walk, come for a lift. Okay. And then finally, as we wrap this up, if you listen to all of this and you still just go to town, right? You go to town, you fuck it up, so to speak, right? You binge, didn't mean it, couldn't control myself, whatever. It is really not the biggest deal. It's not the biggest deal. What happens is we're just going to just draw a line in the sand after it, right? Just decide, you know what? That's it. Cool. Celebration's over. I'm going back now to getting in momentum again. If you mess it up, it's not a big deal, right? No one gains 5 to 8 kilos of fat in 2 weeks. That does not happen. Let me just quickly say this. When you step on the scales, after you've had a surge in some carbohydrates including fruit, vegetables, chocolate, what else? Chips, crackers, these types of things, it's not as if the carbs turn into pure fat. What happens is, just like when you take a piece of bread, if you took a loaf of bread, right? If you threw that loaf of bread in a sink full of water, what would happen? The loaf of bread would just suck that water up in the sink, right? It'd absorb it. That's exactly what an increase in carbs do in your body. So if you increase your carbs, for every 1 unit increase, you'll get 5 units increase in water. That means if you eat an extra, a kind of above what you've been doing, an extra 200 or 300 grams of carbs a day, you would expect to gain a kilo, a liter, at least of water. That will show up on the scales. And then equally, once you start to pull back on those calories a little bit, prioritize your protein, you will lose that water. It'll disappear. It'll disappear over the course of a week to 2. So you may have a little bit of a bump in your scales, and then they'll come back down again. Don't panic. Don't feel guilty. You have to break this mindset of like, just scales. Guys, let's set ourselves up for a loving Christmas. Get your sexy butts, for those of you that are seeing this, to the Christmas call, which is on next Thursday. Okay. I'm increasing the Zoom capacity to over 500. I'm expecting a couple of hundred of you guys there. Do what you can to get to that call. It'll be a really, really good way to celebrate and finish up this year. Hopefully this is helpful. Tanel says, great explanation of the bread in water. Well, if we could think about it like that, Tanel, that's actually what happens. The majority of people don't realize that. They step on the scales, they're 2 kilos heavier, and it's just a temporary water weight hold. So guys, I'm going to love you and leave you there. Hopefully this was helpful. Much longer, but I did it as quickly as we could possibly get through it. Feel free to rewatch. And more than anything, if you want to let me know your takeaway or you get any other questions, just feel free to fire them through to me. By the way, if you're not aware, we are running a challenge. This is day 2, right? It's the plank day today. I'm very aware that a few of you might not be able to do a plank, and that's completely fine. You are competing against yourself, not anyone else. Get down on your knees and do it. This is a participation challenge. Hey guys, I'm going to love you and leave you. Peace out.